Hello and welcome to the Bearded Respect. I'm Brew City Scott,
I'm Mike.
and we have.
Hello and welcome to the Bearded Respect. I'm
Ooh.
Brew City Scott.
Oops. That's not me this time.
Yeah.
I think we've all
This
done
is
it
Jason
at one time or
here.
another.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back after this intro video. Hello and welcome back. We're up to episode 36. Just flying around. So, we have a pretty good guest this week. Someone who we all just met from 1 Mile, One Veteran podcast. Has a pretty interesting podcast. Me and Michael have been really enjoying it. And the theme just seemed to fit for this month. So we were glad to be able to have a chance to have him on. So why don't we bring him on in? This is Danny from 1 Mile, One Veteran podcast.
Hey, gents.
Hi, Dan. Welcome to the Bearded Respect.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and just really been enjoying getting to know you guys through your podcast and through the episodes that you have up.
Hopefully it wasn't the last one. That seems to have been one of our worst.
No, you guys are doing a great job. I felt a little intimidated because I'm like the only guy coming on here without a beard.
Yeah, I was expecting you to grow one by the time you got on.
We've all been there. Well, why don't we have Jason welcome all our guests in the chat, and then we'll get going.
Yeah. So early on, we had E-Rock in.
What's up, E-Rock?
How you doing, E?
And you're gonna come there. It is. And then we had Ellie. Those two are always fighting for the number one spot.
Sometimes Travis sneaks in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Travis. He's
Hey,
always
Travis.
early. And then we had Miss Bruce City, Becky.
Hi, honey.
And now I think this fellow's been here before because I noticed in the chat he mentioned a bearded Wolverine that he changed his name. So, but I don't know if this is Scott, the board, big bearded board. Not sure.
I don't know.
We'll scroll through the chat and see if he had answered Becky, because Becky asked him who it was. Angry Redhead Grooming.
Welcome
Nice
back.
to see you. Yeah. And there's Bearded Wolverine, Bearded Maximus Wolverine. I gotta get that now too. And yeah, because he says he did as Wolverine said, change my name to my beard's name.
Oh,
So-
okay.
His beard must be lucky.
Yeah.
And let's see. Yeah, we were running a little late. Miss Bruce Travis, Angry Redhead. Oh, looks like there's Chris Perez.
What's up,
He's
Chris?
been a mainstay lately. Always good to see Chris, the jokester.
Yes.
Oh, there's Garrett. Garrett, it's always good to see you here. I know you usually keep quiet, but I'm glad you tune in and check us out.
What's up, Garrett?
Hey, Garrett.
And we got Chris, True North.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
And
We'll get him on the
Rush-
show one day.
Yeah, one day.
Today is the first day of fall. Just a reminder, the True North.
Yeah. Russ, he's a big supporter and a weekly staple of the show.
Yep. Hey, Russ.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see. I think that's. Oh, I'm missing something.
We got unofficial Ken. Not sure if you
Yeah, there he is.
saw him.
Yeah, he's from Hawaii. He's a teacher over in Hawaii. So
All right.
Yes.
We go, Ken.
Mark Brown.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
That beard's getting big, buddy. Looking good. Hey, March. Oh, there's Vic. We were speaking of Vic earlier.
Hey,
Talking about him before the show.
Yeah,
Yep,
his ears were ringing.
Vic. Yeah, okay, there it is. That is Scott. Well, I'm sorry.
Big bearded and bored.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll highlight that one. So Becky had Schwartz on yesterday, pants today. Yeah.
That's because
I
of
got-
how Jason says it with his Eastern Coast accent.
Yeah, they think I say Schwartz. I don't say Schwartz, I say
Pittsburgh
Schwartz.
accent.
Yeah. Uh, okay. So yeah, that was there's the Oblo bearded Dave. He's
Hey, Diablo.
a lot
What's
of
up,
these guys
Diablo?
are weekly staples. Yeah, we enjoy everybody returning. I got Vato.
What's up,
Hey,
Otto?
Vato.
Russ. And let's see.
Oh, we
My
got
my chat jumps and then it disappears and then it comes back and
How you
What's up,
doing,
Jay
Jay Cruz?
yeah, there's Jay. There it comes. I'm gonna have to do something with this computer.
You say that every week.
I do. I know. But the bad thing is I don't know what I'm doing with it. So, heck, even if I'd shut it off once in a while, that might help instead of just letting it go to sleep.
And why don't we put off the giveaway until later?
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm all caught up.
All right.
I think.
We just always like to welcome our chat onto the
Yeah.
show.
Y'all do a
Yep.
great job.
Well,
I love
thanks.
You've got such a good audience.
Yeah, yeah, we do. That's
So
what kind of drew me to doing this was the community here.
can imagine.
Yeah, we have a
so.
pretty strong community of bearded guys here. Weekly shows. There's several shows. There's a show. You can find a show every night. Someone's putting on a show, and some nights a couple shows. So,
and it's all centered around just not centered around, but generally the people putting it on are people with beards and beard care, maintenance. I'm assuming shapes, styles, and whatnot.
Yeah, some beard care companies we bring on, and
all right,
yeah,
and it's pretty much self-care,
okay,
which is good for your just your mindset, and it helps boost a lot of confidence.
mm-hmm.
Can imagine. So I've got a buddy up in Vermont. He's been growing one now since I think he started it back in. I met him back in like 2012, and his daughters have never known him without a beard. I think it's around your length now, Jason and Mike. You're coloring.
Cool.
Yeah, that's one thing my wife has always. Well, I've been married 12 years now, but we've actually been together for 18, and that's what she said. She goes, I've never seen your chin. I said, you never will either.
Does it exist? I've heard like stories about.
It's there.
Yeah,
but
my kids haven't seen either of my chins.
Respect.
So yeah, Danny, I'm sure you got a lot of friends though from the military background that once they got out, they developed their freedom beard, is what we call it.
Absolutely, yeah, quite a few of them. And I tried it for a while. My wife met me clean shaven, and I've tried growing it several times.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, I don't know the right way to care for it, so I end up getting really dry skin right here.
Oh yeah,
and then I just get frustrated. I'm just like, all right, it's easier to keep a trim-ish face, so I shave maybe twice a week. This show has made me shave more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of us started using beard oil for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
The dry skin right under.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had an army buddy when I was working for the VA tell me, refer me to a few things, and I tried it, but my wife has never appreciated the growing process.
Oh.
And so in my family, we keep a good head of hair, and then we just keep everything else trimmed out.
Yeah.
I had to make sure I didn't wear a hat for this episode.
So what is your program? What is 1 Mile, 1 Veteran? Tell us all about it.
All right. So short pitch is it's an active podcast that tries to help prevent veteran suicide. Our episodes are about 20 to 24 minutes, and we encourage our viewers or our listeners to walk 1 mile while listening to the episodes. That act of walking helps raise endorphins enough to start improving moods. It introduces people back into physical exercise, which can also help decrease depression, as well as just give a temporary relief from intrusive thoughts. So for those that are suffering, for those that aren't suffering from intrusive type thoughts, it gives them an opportunity to kind of reflect on what their friends, family, and other veterans may be going through while they're listening to stories of inspiration from veterans, as well as resources that are available to our community, whether they're through civilian means or government organization means. So nonprofits in the civilian sector, as well as the veteran networks. And then at the end of the episode, we encourage people to build their own community. So start reaching out to an individual after the episode's over to just have a friendly conversation. It's been my experience and the experience of others that struggle with depression and anxiety, PTSD, whatever it is, that on hard days, it feels impossible to pick up the phone and call somebody and ask for help. We call it the 1,000-pound phone. But if you get reps in on those days that are easier, when the day comes that it's hard, you've already had the practice, you've put in the work, prior, it becomes that much easier to pick up the phone. It's really our hope that, we're not necessarily helping prevent veteran suicide, but it's the community that you build will do it, because we know it's 100% preventable. I know it's 100% preventable. I mean, I've come close 3 times in my life, and these tools of building a community, having a purpose, focusing on making sure that my mental health is cared for, has prevented me from making a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So it's, we just launched this month. My wife, I convinced my wife that we should both quit our jobs so that we can do this full time and sell our home. And that's what we're doing. We're going to
Oh,
travel across the country to go into communities and start just encouraging people. The tools and resources are there to stop to stop people from taking their own lives.
Wow, that's a pretty big commitment.
yeah.
Hey, so is being willing to give your life in service of our country.
Right.
So it's nothing we haven't done before, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How long have you been planning this type of organization?
So we've been planning since the winter of 2020. So prior to the pandemic, I had experienced about 8.5 years of sobriety and just ongoing mental health treatment following service. And everything was going good. My business was growing. My wife and I have had a media company for a while. We've worked in TV, weddings, photography, just all sorts of different avenues of media. And we were expanding on another portion. And thanks, Mark. On Super Bowl weekend, my wife went to one of our friends' kids' birthday parties, and I decided to stay home. And that night I started planning my death, just out of the blue. No reason. It was the first time that I had done that in about 9 years, since getting the diagnosis of alcohol dependence and PTSD, when I thought my life was over. And it really caught me off guard how quickly and how intrusively those thoughts came. The next morning, so I made the plan. It wasn't going to happen that night. It was going to happen later in the week. And then I decided to go to bed. I knew that the thoughts would pass because the thoughts had passed in the past. Woke up the next morning. We went to go serve in church on the video team. I was the sound guy. And they didn't subside. They actually persisted and got worse. And so we were planning on going to a friend's Super Bowl party that we had done every year at their house out in Mililani near Schofield. And, we came home from church and I sat my wife down and I said, this is what's going on. This is what's going on in my head. And for me, the feelings lifted, right? Like the thoughts were no longer there. I didn't need her sympathy or anything like that. I just needed to tell her what was going on in the darkest recesses of my mind and what I was intending to do. And the feelings had lifted. However, my wife was definitely still struggling. She called the crisis line. She reached out to her support network to say, what do I do? Like, this is where my husband's at. No, he seems fine. We're making plans for the future again. He's just sitting there watching the Super Bowl. And, I talked to the crisis line. I was like, this is what's going on. And at the time I was in my master's program at Liberty University online. And one of our projects that we had to do was create a project that would serve the community as a whole. And so I just started looking at this avenue. I saw, I looked back to earlier successes for earlier successes of what had happened in the past. And I looked at that 22 push-up challenge that still persists today. It did have a positive impact. It got people talking about it, got people checking in on other people regularly. And it had just kind of fizzled away. But I started thinking about, okay, how do we bring a similar project back? And as we sat there and muddled around for a while, what do we do? I ended up taking a job, finishing up my master's, and we just kept on planning, what is it going to look like? And so this past year, in December of 2021, my wife and I lost our pastor to a sudden accident. He was out for a run, middle of the morning, and was struck by a motorcycle. And just, young 50-year-old man, life taken very quickly. And so we started talking about the immediacy of just needing to get this done. So we pushed up the timetable. I was still working a full-time job and ended up with a severe medical condition related to stress, of all things. And so the doctor said, hey, maybe you should stop working so much. And so she let me quit my job first, started talking with people about this project that we're going to get done. And, this month, the week that we released our first episode, my wife had her last day of work. And so right now we're working on getting it going.
Yeah.
We launched on all the popular podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and I'm sure a few others that it's released to. But those are the big ones, and it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, it's been some pretty good episodes. If anybody gets a chance to listen to them, it's definitely worth a listen. Even if you're not a veteran, you can pick up some things.
Yeah, that's what we really try to focus on. So coming from the medical background, I really trust the medical process. And then coming from a recovery background, I also trust the spiritual process, which is just as important in having a good full life. And so we talk about physical, mental, spiritual, relational, and occupational health. And those are kind of the central pillars of what our guests are on about. Those will be ones that I continue to teach about, just either from personal experience or the medical books that I used to study and resources that I go to. I try to condense it down so that people can understand it in a little bit simpler terms.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Russ commented, I'm already tearing up, and I can relate. So I listened to the 1 Mile 1 Veteran podcast. I listened to all the shows, and they're compact. Like, it's 20 minutes, 24 minutes. Everything is but it's intense. Like, the stories told on this podcast are so deep and meaningful and emotional. Like, you're going to go through all the emotions listening to it, and there's always a positive to the show, though. Like, I have learned so much, just from listening to the 8 episodes. And I work in the psychiatry field, and being a veteran myself, and having lost loved ones to suicide. And it's definitely for everyone, just not military, because everyone knows someone that has lost to suicide, that not even military. But yeah, prepare yourself for the show. If you're going to listen to it, you can find it on Apple and Spotify. Those are the two major ones. But it's definitely intense, I would say. Compact. I can't believe you fit it all in that amount of time.
I really owe it to my wife. We'll continue to expand to different platforms. But she's been a television producer now going on 2-3 years, and she just had her first Emmy nomination this past year for a show that she did for a nonprofit. Wow. So regional Emmy nomination, and we got to go, celebrate her victories. And so she set it up. She's really the one that says, hey, like, we're gonna really work this in a way that's going to be direct, as well as having key points to take away from each episode too, so that each episode has some sort of memorable aspect, and then she set an ambitious goal of having 2 episodes a week. So we release a new episode every Monday and Wednesday. And I think the God-given part of it is that it's really weird how quickly people come to open up to me. So I was just doing an interview yesterday with a gentleman that I heard speak, and I just wanted to go up to him and thank him for sharing his story. He goes around raising awareness of teen suicide prevention because he lost his 12-year-old daughter in 2019. And I just wanted to come and thank him at this event that we were at. And about an hour and a half, 2 hours go by, and I was on my way to the restroom, mind you, and I saw him in a hall. And apparently we sat there and we talked for about 2.5 hours, to the point where his wife started glaring at him from the ballroom going, "You need to come sit down."
Right.
But those are, just coming from the medical background, being able to hear people out without judgment, because that's what I've always been afraid of, being judged for my deep dark thoughts, right? But what I make sure that I do with my own community is I normalize them. Ever since I got back into the church environment, especially, like I learned to normalize difficult talk in a space of recovery. And when I came back into the church, I wanted people to know that, like, this stuff just needs to be normally talked about in a day-to-day basis. Like, I have PTSD, and that's okay. It doesn't control who I am. It's not your responsibility to keep me calm. I don't drink, but feel free to drink around me. Like, I don't drink because I drink too heavily, and bad things tend to happen, and that's okay. And so everybody's kind of had this, I keep on hearing the word, "Oh, there's a stigma surrounding it." And it's like, no, there's not a stigma. It's just we refuse to talk about hard things, even though we need to talk about hard things.
Right.
And I love that Angry Redhead Grooming's bringing up Celebrate Recovery, because it works so well for some people, and they do a similar thing. They talk about the hard stuff in a church environment, and I went to a few of those things, but I had a really hard time connecting to people in there, because at that time, like, faith was not part of my walk whatsoever. At that time, I was completely against God. I was completely against a lot of stuff, and and just needed the space to to be somebody that focused on one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's great. I know both Michael and I support different groups that work to prevent veteran suicide. Michael, you want to tell them about yours quick?
Well, for this one, it's a Fight Like Hell podcast, which I actually sent them your link to your podcast. I was like, you gotta listen to this guy. But
Thank you.
it's two companies, two clothing companies. One's called Save Our Six, and the other's called Vigilant and Humble. They're both Army veterans. Save Our Six was founded. It's a company, a clothing company, but the reason he formed it was to kind of get a group of people together to help prevent suicide. But this month, every September, they do a fundraiser, and they give all the money to a nonprofit organization. This year, it's Oath to Country Foundation, which is based out of Los Angeles. They do a lot of work for police officers, veterans, homeless, to help end suicide. Another organization that they often contribute to is called Rescue 22, which is a company that trains service dogs and donates the service dog to a veteran or a frontline worker that has PTSD. So yeah, this month it's the 22-pound challenge, where you carry 22 pounds for 22 miles. And Scott's got a similar program in his company that he's doing, where I think it's 22 kilometers. and you can either carry 22 pounds or not. And fortunately, we got awesome supporters like Jason, who's doing both of them with us, because his heart is so big. And I know it's very important for Jason and these causes too.
Yeah, the one I support is actually Operation Rec 22. I got involved with it. I'm a member of the Bearded Rebellion Beard Club, which is a club of about right around now 500 members internationally, and we try and give back to the communities through charity. And this was one of the first charities that we supported, and we raised money through like t-shirts and patch sales to try and give towards Ruck 22. This is our second year doing that. And then this Saturday is their big walk. And it was 22 kilometers last year. It sounds like since the numbers changed, they're lowering it a little this year. And it also was a lot to walk in one day. I can attest to this because last year I screwed up my knee. But I will still be there supporting, volunteering, and this year I'll be doing a live stream on this channel of the auction. They have a silent auction and other auction items in baskets that they use to support their charity. So if anyone in the chat here wants to tune in on Saturday, I'll be putting out a post tomorrow more about the specifics. I'd really appreciate that.
That's really amazing. And there's so many amazing programs out there. And that's really one of the other things that I hope to be able to help promote. Even when I was working for the VA in their public affairs office, one of the things that people don't realize is government organizations and nonprofits don't necessarily have the ability to market everything that they're doing. And so if you're not already tied in to the good programs, you're only going to hear what's covered in the media. And unfortunately, that's usually a lot of the negative stuff of we need more. And the truth is there's so much out there. I was talking to one guy, he said, I forgot how he phrased it, but he essentially talked about like there's almost too much stuff out there that it confuses people and paralyzes them because there's too many choices.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be able to bring those voices, especially on the local level. There's a lot of national programs that get a lot of coverage, but within the communities, when you really start to dig deep in your local community, you start to discover there's so much more going on, and there's so many more people that are affected by suicide than you can ever realize. We just like the 22 ruck. I wouldn't have heard about that had I not been talking about this.
Right.
The 22 pound challenge, which the first time I heard about it was on this show. And what made me remember was he was talking about he had a pregnant person wanting to participate, saying, should I put on 22 pounds? He's like, no, you're good.
Right. She recently had her baby a couple of days ago, and I think 2 days later she got back out there, and she did put the weight on.
Wait, 2 days after she had a baby, she got back out there?
Yeah, she's pretty fit.
All right, I have no excuse.
Yeah, puts us dad bods to shame. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And that's why we do these shows, right? For awareness, for people to learn. Like every time you put these shows out, if one person gets the message, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. It's so true. And I encourage anybody, if they're curious about it, start talking about it in their community, start letting them know that they want to get involved. as soon as you start doing that, people start talking to you. People
Mhm.
start opening up about what's going on. I mean, last week I had a friend call me, known him for 10 years, wouldn't have ever thought anything was wrong. Not a veteran, really great guy, really great background, calls me up and he says, "Hey, I'm in a dark place right now. And you're the only person that I feel comfortable like to call in this and not judge me,
Mhm.
and it's powerful if you start it right there at home."
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's really needed. So many people die from suicide, and it's a total shock to everyone. And I have a feeling it's because of how they process it. Like, I mean, they're already isolating themselves or at least isolating their emotions and putting on a fake face. But it's because they didn't reach out. No one knew. And that's
Hmm.
why like this is needed. Like you're saying, like this is why, like if you're open about it, open about yourself, which you're definitely very transparent. Your first episode, you put it all out there, and I'm just like, it's amazing to hear that, to hear what you've gone through and where you're at now. Would you mind touching on the 5 pillars?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking about that. In terms of the transparency, uh, when it comes to me talking about my story, one of my biggest downfalls, and this is kind of what you were talking about, like us never knowing, is everybody always comments about how smiley I am because that's just I when I was a teen, I learned to smile. It was one of the things that I learned to do, and so and it does change your mood in the moment, but then it also starts preventing me from talking about the things that are actually hard. And when I show up to mental health appointments, I've gotten the habit of telling my providers, I'm gonna bullshit you. I'm going to make you feel like everything is fine
Mhm.
because I feel like everything is fine until it's not. Um, and so, some of the tools that I have to be aware of and that I turn to are those 5 pillars to kind of gauge where I'm at on a regular basis. And it's physical health, mental health, spiritual, relational, and professional. And when we talk about the physical health, we're talking about not just exercise and nutrition and eating right. And I'll tell you what, like if you're eating the right things, a lot of your health conditions will go away. Just to give you an example, like I have severe allergies. I'm allergic to horses, found out while riding a horse. Um, Throat started closing up and difficulty breathing. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm allergic to these things. Um, and I've always been allergic to cats. But I started cutting out inflammatory foods from my diet and eating things like blueberries and different anti-inflammatory foods that they talk about on a regular basis. And in about 6 months, those allergies were completely gone. I was able to be at home with my family that apparently just started getting cats when I moved out. Um, they were just like, "Oh, Danny's no longer coming to visit. We can get cats again." Um, like, well, thanks. Now I have no place to stay. But exercise and nutrition are two really big items that we can do. And when I talk about exercise, we're not talking about going out there and PTing like we used to and doing a 10-mile run or a 22-kilometer, which by the way is probably around a half a marathon ruck carry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm talking about just daily consistent movement of about 20 minutes or more, just to get our endorphins raised, letting our bodies know that we can do something, especially because we live such sedentary lives nowadays. Whether it's just chilling, watching Netflix or sitting at a desk job. Or driving for a living. The gig life and trucking is still two major professions that veterans walk into. Um, and then also making sure we're getting adequate sleep. I always try to shoot for 8 hours. It usually ends up being 4, just because of the way that I sleep. But I'm in bed for 8, and sometimes my wife rises a little bit earlier than me. But I'm just like, I'm going to stay in bed for these 8 hours. It's really important that I do that. And then the environment that we surround ourselves with, is my workspace cluttered and messy because that's going to affect my mental health. Um, are the people around me messy and dirty? Because again, that's going to affect me. When I go into the mental area, we're talking mental professionals, as well as just practicing grounding exercises, practicing breathing exercises. 4 seconds in, hold for 2, out for 6. It starts to affect our sympathetic nervous system and makes us calmer, believe it or not. Or, as our anger levels start to rise, we can just
448.
do that a couple of times. We're gonna be able to get through it. It's going to be okay. We don't always need to say what's on our mind. That's part of mental health too. Like if we start just constantly expressing our anger and frustration in an angry and frustrated way, those around us are going to start to experience that. Those emotions will get worse the more we yell. And so let's just take a moment, take a breath, and then tone ourselves down. Like let's de-escalate our own emotions. It's okay. We can always take a moment. Sometimes we don't always do great in our own household, and when we get in a fight, we end up yelling and chasing each other around the house, and one of them is just like, I just need a moment to calm down. And it's like, well, no, you need to talk to me right now.
Right.
Like that's not good for anybody. So like let's look at these mental exercises that we can do. Meditation, I absolutely suck at, but I still try, 2 to 5 minutes when I wake up in the morning. And then again, just being mindful of what I'm doing, what's around me. When I talk about spiritual life, I'm not talking about faith. I'm talking about finding a purpose greater than yourself. For some people, that's their family. For others, that's what they're doing. Like let's just stop making ourselves the center of our universe, because we're never going to be important enough to stay alive for, especially if we have thoughts of suicide. Like if we're thinking about ending our lives, like the spiritual life is absolutely non-existent, because we're not even important enough to keep around. So like let's find something that's more important than us. Let's find a strong why. For me, it ended up developing into my own personal faith. But for others, it becomes about getting outdoors, connecting with nature, connecting with your community, whatever that may be. When I talk about relational health, I'm not just talking about our wives and our husbands and our spouses. I'm talking about our friends, our bosses, our coworkers. How are we interacting with them? If we're working in a toxic environment, we're going to bring home a toxic environment. If we have friends that are constantly drinking and getting drunk and trash talking their spouses, we're going to trash talk our spouses. Like we are the culmination of the 5 closest, like the 5 people we hold closest to us. So let's evaluate that. Let's find out who those people are. If they're people that are similarly minded towards a positive goal, that's great. I laugh because I look at the people that I try to draw close to me. One of them is a Guinness World Record holder in fitness. Another is my wife, who is a multi-time world champion and television producer. I have a best friend that has a very mellow, he's the most even-keeled person that I've ever known, and I try to be even-keel. I'm just not very good at it. And then there's my dad, who just has such a great, strong spiritual life, And then we look at our professional life, and I'll say this is where a lot of people have probably a hard time in today's society deconflicting their professional life, because we work so much. We work more than almost any other generation before us, because things have gotten, either expensive, or everybody has an education, or at least it feels that way. And so it takes a little bit longer to find that single stable job. And we end up doing a lot of gig work, especially as veterans. We didn't necessarily find a job that we'd be willing to die for when we come out of the service. Like I have yet to find a civilian job that I'm willing to like put my life on the line for. And that's good because my family and my community is more important than that. But we still need to find purpose in the acts that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so, that can be volunteerism. If you have to have a job that pays the bills and you're just like, well, this is what I do to pay the bills. It's not necessarily a passion that I had since I was 7 years old. But it's what I need to do to take care of my family. Well, let's also look at some volunteerism. Let's look at getting involved in your kids' lives. Let's look at giving back to a community. I have a friend that I've met through this that he has a typical day job that wouldn't necessarily be considered glamorous, but he's started podcasting for a hobby, and his hobby has brought him a lot of purpose and a lot of community. And so, we talk about those 5 pillars and trying to build each one equally as strong. Because if you only focus on one, if that one falls away, you're going to be left at the bottom again, trying to build back up. And so, just encouraging, build each one little by little. These past 2 or 3 years, I've had my relationship one kind of dwindle because of the loss of my pastor, and then people moving away from Hawaii, which is just very common, as well as some really good people relapsing. And so I've come to find in this past year, like, I need to rebuild some new relationships and build a new inner circle.
And one guy was in here thanking you that he needed to hear this tonight, which is great. Also, if you ever need to talk, I'm sure you can reach out to any of us or anybody in this community. I'd be more than willing to listen and talk to you, because that's basically the best thing that's going to help you the most is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't necessarily need to reach out to a professional if you don't want to. If you just need a friend to talk to get something off your chest, like Danny did with his wife. I mean, reach out to any of us. Anybody that thinks you feel comfortable enough with either one of us, just reach out. We'll listen.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for. That's why I'm here. I'm here for this community to help it any way I can, and if that's just to listen to somebody having a bad day, then that's what I'll do.
That's so accurate, Jason, man. Like, you don't need we need professions at certain times for stuff like this, for the daily stuff that's in our heads. We don't need the professional to deal with that. We need a healthy community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. That's what you see so much. Is you, like you stated earlier, you don't know. Okay, somebody committed suicide, and you're shocked. You didn't know. Nobody knows because they didn't reach out, because maybe they felt that the only person they could reach out to was a professional. Well, I can't afford it, or I don't want to do that, or reach out to a friend. That's what friends are for, and friends will do it for free. They'll listen.
Absolutely.
It's just, they need to reach out and ask for the help, though. I mean, because you can't read their mind, and I mean, hopefully you know them well enough to where you can see certain signs that things aren't going right. So you just reach out and you just, hey, how's things going today? And hopefully they'll be honest and tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a bad place. Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think a barrier is fear of judgment, fear of just fear of expressing your thoughts to a loved one. And then, but when that happens, though, that weight is lifted, like it was for Danny on Super Bowl day. Like, that weight is lifted, that you spoke out, and it's unexpected, but you're relieved, and that's what that's a huge barrier for people to get over, is just doing that, lifting that 1,000-pound telephone, or whatever it is, to tell someone about it, because of being fearful of being judged, fearful of being thought of as a lesser person or weak. But that doesn't happen now. Like, it's rare that happens. It's usually supportive, response that you get, when you do reach out, and it can be a positive interaction.
Yeah, I had a sailor a couple months ago ask, what can I do to help my sailors, even if they're not reaching out, even if they're not asking for help, right? And it was a young guy, and I was super proud to hear them talking about this, 19-year-old kid asking that question. And one of the things that I told him was, we have a culture. Some men, especially in the military, have a culture of ragging each other, constantly just ragging each other. The jokes never stop. I don't exactly know why. I've never been good at the trash talk. I've tried, and sometimes I just take it too far. But what I encouraged him, I was like, be the guy that you would want to talk to. Don't be the guy that's constantly putting people down and making them feel like they don't deserve to be there. Because when somebody's having a hard time, like, they're going to remember you. And it was true for me with a second class when I was 19. He was always encouraging, uplifting, and trying to help. And apparently for friends of mine that have come forward, it's been true for them. They've come forward to me because they know I'm not going to judge them. They know I'm not going to pick on them. They know I'm not going to call them weak. And they also know, like, I'm not going to try to fix whatever their problem is. I'm going to hear them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So what are your plans cross country?
So we're currently in escrow on our condo, and if it goes through, we are first going to take a moment to breathe, and we're going to take a vacation that we've been waiting for since prior to the pandemic.
Nice.
So we're going to take a few weeks off and go hike in New Zealand. But then after that, we're going to head to Florida, start interviewing some people there, because we will eventually start a YouTube channel aspect of it, having 7 to 10 minute episodes that highlight businesses that are involved in helping veterans, showing the different types of therapies, whether it be equine, archery, hiking, whatever those groups are, right? Giving them some just free marketing stuff. And then we're going to travel up the East Coast, stopping along the way, some of the major veteran-centric areas, also visiting family, just something we haven't done for a few years as we're traveling and hopefully saving a few dollars. And then we'll leave from the Connecticut area to drive down across the southern states to California to fly out for my sister-in-law's wedding on Maui. And then after we're done with that, we are going to drive back across the states around the northern route, central or northern route, and then fly to Europe. One, just because cost of living for rent will be lower, and we also want to start bringing this to the overseas bases that are a bit more remote.
Nice.
Wow.
So again, my wife's a planner. We hope to be able to highlight the Invictus Games while we're there as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
And in case you didn't notice, for those in the chat, when you live in Hawaii, going on vacation, it's got to be like huge. New Zealand hiking.
I kind of spoiled my wife when I graduated college back in 2018. Maui's a great place, bro. We'll be over there next week. visiting my wife's family. But back in 2018, when I graduated college, I decided to take my first vacation. Everybody thinks, "Oh, you joined the Navy, like you must have seen the world." And I was like, "No, I saw the desert. Like it was cool." Like
Yeah.
that's where I went. My dad and my brother got the Mediterranean cruises and whatnot,
Mm.
but I got Iraq and Afghanistan.
All right.
And so my wife, who had kind of traveled a lot when she was younger with her family, was looking at vacation spots to celebrate college graduation, and she came across I forgot the name of the website, but it monitors low ticket fares, and she found tickets to Australia for like $700 for the two of us. It was on Skyscanner, so she monitors Skyscanner, and she found like tickets to Australia round trip for $700 from Hawaii. She goes, "Oh, we could go in the beginning of like we could be there for New Year's, the first place to celebrate New Year's in the world." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "And we could stay for 2 weeks." And I was like, "Well, let's make it like 3.5." Because I didn't have a job. She goes, "Oh, I can't vacation for that long." I was like, "Of course you can. Just take the time. It'll be okay." And I was like, "And if we do it, I'll take you to the Outback as well." It was a place that she always wanted to go. She always wanted to see Uluru National Park down there. And we drove around the country for about 24 days. And ever since then, she's like, "I can't take a vacation less than 2 weeks anymore."
All right.
But that's how we like to travel, cheap and
Yeah.
and
That's
on the
great.
road. I love driving.
That's great. We'll be doing plenty of driving across country.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little Ford Fiesta that we're gonna ship to Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be good.
There's definitely a lot of people in chat that would love to meet you guys on your travels.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Well, if they follow along, we'll definitely let them know where we're at. Right now, we're planning. If anybody, this is a plug for Spartan Race. We did a Spartan Race to kind of highlight the launch of the show, and so we had a couple of local TV hosts be a part of our team. And when I talk about the Spartan Race, I'm not talking about like we're competing. It took us 2.5 hours to do a 5K with 20 obstacles. We're just out there talking and meeting people and doing hard stuff. So in what's the name of the place? We're going to Central Florida on December 11th to do a Spartan Race in Sebring. So if anybody wants to come be a part of that, like we like doing just fun, ridiculous things.
That's awesome.
But they can always kind of follow us on Instagram and see where we're going to end up at.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
I know I did see you on when you're first starting out. You were on I believe it's the local news by you, with Big Tire Boot Camp,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and that looked like an interesting day.
It's so much fun. It's a buddy of mine, Aleem. He's a Coast Guard auxiliary guy, and he has some buddies that he's lost to suicide, and he's a unit commander at the AMVET Center out on West Oahu, and they gave him space to set up this outdoor fitness facility, and so we get to lift heavy things, and he puts us through a cycle of 10 different exercises for 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. There's kids that participate. There's older dads and moms, and it's really just a great community. And we're even finding that there's just there's people to reach even in those environments. And if you're more interested in his story, he's actually on episode 4.
I'd like to address this comment here if anybody can help them out here.
Yeah, so when a family friend, you're concerned about their safety and welfare, but they're in denial of anything going on. I mean, you can basically only be there for support, keep reminding them that you're there for them for this problem. But if there's a real concern about they may hurt themselves or, kill themselves, then, you can absolutely reach out to police for intervention or a crisis hotline in your area. I believe even, dialing the 988 can get you resources for your area. If you have a true concern about their safety and welfare, if they may, hurt themselves.
Yeah. Now the 988 has been a great resource for people in
Huge.
crises. But make sure you ask that question. Or do you have any intention to hurt yourself or another person? It's okay to ask that. And ask it just straight face. Like, you don't have to say, oh, that's so sad or that's too bad. Just ask that question and say, okay, well, what would you like to do? And, you move forward from there. I have a friend right now or last week that had reached out, and I had to ask him, and he said he might. And so we met up. But I have I have a close person close to me, and I'll let their identity remain anonymous, for decades, just struggling in and out of prison. And people have asked me, like, what do I do? They're drinking and driving. And I said, well, they're an alcoholic. Like, we believe that they're an alcoholic. They kind of play with the idea that they're an alcoholic. And unfortunately, sometimes this is the path that alcoholics have to go down, to be of service to another person. Sometimes they have to end up in prison. Sometimes, this is the really hard part, sometimes we don't make it. Like, it's not, I told my wife, if I ever take my life, there's nothing she could have ever done to stop it. There's no intervention that she could have had. There's no conversation that she could have had. I have all the tools and the resources. I know that they're available. I've used them. I've had successes with them. And if it ever happens, it is 100% my responsibility. But for my family members and my friends and people close to me that are going through their own crises, I've always just let them know I'm there if they ever need to talk. I'm never going to judge them. If they feel like they messed up with the law, I'll tell them that they should turn themselves in. If they tell me that they're having a crisis, I tell them, they want to stop drinking, go to a support group, ask a doctor. Like, the resources are there, but it's your responsibility.
Yeah, and laced and based, just to go back to that, this just came to me, a thing that happened in the past while I was in the Army, stationed at Schofield Barracks. There was, this is military related, but this is kind of related to your question. So this is back in 2000, so 22 years ago. And so back then we had a thing called AOL chat. And it's, it was a chat room, but you can instant message privately. And the night before we were deploying to JRTC, which was a training area in Louisiana, one of my squad members was facing an Article 15, which is like a big thing in the military. Like, it's the law coming down on you. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose rank. I can't remember what it was about. But he started expressing suicidal thoughts to me, or suicidal intentions, over this AOL chat. And I was young. I was a medic. He was a medic. The only thing I could think to do was just keep him online. I called the headquarters, for our unit, and just let him know, hey, I got this person. This is where he lives, because we both lived off base. I kept him on the line until the police got there. He was completely pissed off at me for that. I don't care. He's still alive today. Like, I still keep in contact with him now. I mean, who knows what could have happened back then if there was no intervention.
Yep.
So the main
Right.
point is if they say that they're going to kill themselves, you got to take that step and let the authorities know to get them help. Even if they're in denial, even if they're joking, you just don't know.
Yep.
You know. And Danny, what you're saying about, like, yeah, someone that does take their life, of course they're going to take that responsibility for them, but every loved one is also
Yep.
carrying that responsibility and that guilt.
Yeah,
for people that they lose.
Yeah, no, that guilt is absolutely real. I think more so what I was referring to was for me. I know that
Mhm.
there's people that support me, and it would be something that that's why I always encourage people, like, make sure that when you have somebody like me in your life, make sure that they know that you're there,
Mhm.
because the only way that I would be successful, the only way that I would follow through with a suicide, is if I completely isolated myself and shut everybody out. It would have to be an absolute impulsive decision in the moment, which is one of the reasons, like, for safety precautions, I don't use substances, and I don't keep a firearm around. Like, that's
Mhm.
just not. I'm not against firearms. I'm just against
Right.
being around them on a consistent basis.
And substances definitely increase that impulsivity,
Yep. And
unclear
so,
thoughts,
Mm.
definitely increases that risk. So,
yeah, but definitely being there for those people.
mhm.
Well, definitely. I believe Russ had a question for you, Mike.
Marchman Act. I'm not sure what that is. I never heard of that.
I wasn't sure either. I was hoping you knew.
I mean, I don't know if you're referring to, like, holding orders. Like, if someone is suicidal, most states have a law where they can be involuntary committed, for suicidal ideation. That might be what he's referring to. I think in Florida it's called, like, the Baker Act. Different states will have, like, in New York, I think it's like a 50-51, I guess, numbers. But if that's what he's referring to. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any law saying that you have to report it, but it's just like the thing that you do as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're ever unsure, call that 988 number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those guys will
Yeah.
pick up the phone. They'll guide you through whatever you need to do. They'll take the address and they'll alert the authorities.
988. What a great thing. I mean, just shortening it to 3 numbers where you can remember it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, why did it take so long? Thanks for stopping in, Ferocious.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
5150 Russ. Yeah.
Oh, the 980. That's funny.
Yeah.
You can
As long
text
as you
it
don't-
too.
As long as you don't dial 911 by accident.
I'm sure they'll transfer you.
Yeah.
The cool part with it is, like, you can text it too. You can go to their website. Like, if you're on the phone with somebody, like Mike said, keep them on the phone and then text that 988. Put it on speaker and just sit there.
Mhm.
They don't even need to know what you're doing. You don't have to get off the line
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah, that is great.
So, Jason, how are you doing with the 22 challenge? You work on it this weekend, right?
Let's just say I'm going to have to do more than 1 mile a day
Yeah.
to get it in. Yeah.
Oh, we're at
Yeah.
that point, but we've been really working it hard this week.
Yeah.
We actually, before the show today, did like 1.4.
Nice. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I got 10 miles knocked out at the beginning of the month. I haven't done any since, but I've been pretty busy traveling and doing everything
Yeah.
else. So I got a week
you
left.
do those extreme hikes.
I do. Yeah. Those were rough. I mean, not only was it 10 miles, but it was 10 miles going up to 14,000 or 12,000 elevation. So with 22 pounds.
Sea level the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I need to just go to Hawaii and knock out the rest of these miles. It'd be so much easier, you know. Like,
There you go.
There you might get lost.
than being at a constant 6,000 miles. Well, I lived in Hawaii. Hiking was my favorite thing to do there. Like on top of the water was hiking.
Yeah.
And I think Danny, I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but you did in your podcast that you live in like Kaneohe area.
I have. Yeah.
You have in the past, okay, but just some awesome trails. If you can get to the peaks, you can see like 3/4 of the island. You know, it's just amazing views.
Yes, sir. We
One
try
of
to
these days
show
I'll
those
get
off.
back there. When I lived there, though, we were ready to move. Like we spent 3 years there, and we kind of got island sickness, I guess some people will call it. You've been there for a while, though. You've been there for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've been here since 2004. So however long that is, that's I don't even know how long that
18
is
years.
anymore. Yeah,
18 years.
18 years now.
and
Yeah.
so I got the urge to leave in 2008, and I left to San Diego for a year, and had an opportunity to get orders right back out here, and then I don't know. I just started getting involved in the local community as after I got back from my third combat tour, and it became home, you know.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, like, I'm grateful to be a welcome guest in this island for as long as you'll have me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was recently eyeballing a job that's on the Big Island down there, and like, ugh.
It's a good place. You know,
Yeah,
it's small town living. It really
It
is
is.
small town living.
yeah.
You know, I don't know how we financially made it this long, but you know, God finds a way when you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah, lucky the beard, BBB, my time down in New Orleans. So I just got back from New Orleans last night. It was hot, humid the whole time. A lot of fun. Learned a lot of great things at the conference I went to. Got to spend some alone time with my wife, which was awesome. Now we're getting back to the grind, the real world for a couple of weeks at least. And Ellie, yeah, we'll definitely meet up at some point. Ellie lives about an hour and a half south of me. Her and Mike, I think it is.
Yep.
I gotta go figure out what 8-bit is.
It's a beard company.
Yep.
Okay.
It's done after a video game, 8-bit video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Danny
from
sounds
Ohio.
like Sean. I don't know. I didn't catch that, but if Danny had a beard, like maybe I would have made that connection.
Well, let's see.
There you go. Chris Perez, how many snakes did I hold? 0. But there were a lot of snakes on Bourbon Street, I'll tell you.
Well, interesting things on Bourbon Street as well.
Yeah. One cool thing was we went on a ghost tour, which we like doing in New Orleans. And every time you do ghost tour there, it's different. Like, because you go to, there's like 200 different companies doing them all at once. But the tour guide that we had was actor, and he had been in American Horror Story, the circus episode. It's not the circus. It's not called the circus. I can't remember what it's called, but that was pretty cool. Like, he was an amazing tour guide.
Yeah, we have a lot of those here too. Those ghost tours.
Any Jeffrey Dahmer tours?
I'm not sure if it's Dahmer related. There's a new series on Netflix
I saw
after
that.
Dahmer.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, my wife was just asking me about it. Have you heard about this Dahmer thing on Netflix? I says, I have. She goes, everybody at work's talking about it.
Well, I live in Milwaukee, so we hear a lot about that kind of stuff.
Right. That's why I said that.
Got to watch that soon. I love watching those as they come out. My wife won't watch any real life stuff, so I have to like make sure I have my headphones on and she's not out of the screen. But it's definitely something I enjoy.
Yeah, one I'm watching now on Netflix is starting to get really good. Is I can't think of the name of it, of course, but the main actress is the one that played Bones.
Deschanel.
The Devil in
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, we finished that.
did you? Yeah.
Yeah,
It keeps getting better
my
each
wife
episode I
watched
watch.
that. Yeah, my wife watched that. I don't know if she watched them all or not, but yeah.
That's awesome.
So, Danny, anything else you want to plug or talk about, or?
You know, I think that's about it. I know they're about to kick us out of our studio space here. We rent because we live in a very noisy condo, so we have to rent out some space when we record.
Wow.
But no, you know, I encourage people to follow along with what we're doing. You know, check us out on Instagram, our Facebook page. You know, it's just me and my wife right now. We're doing some transitions as we get ready to move and grow this. You know, so continue to follow along. We're most active right now on Instagram, and just listen to the podcast. Hopefully you'll take something away. My aunt was telling me, she's out in Colorado. She was telling me, she goes, you know, what you guys are doing isn't just going to be for veterans. You know, these are tools that everybody can walk with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, on your Spotify, do you have video or is it just audio?
So it will eventually be video.
Okay.
We've video recorded all of our episodes. We're still discussing kind of the way we will eventually earn an income from this, because we're going to be self-funding it for 2 years if our condo goes through. If it doesn't, we'll have to look at some other stuff. But we have things in the works. The YouTube will be free video, but potentially the podcast will be premium video for members. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the audio is always free to everybody, just because we feel like these resources are necessary for the general audience as well. And then, yeah, you know, just we're looking at partnering with different local TV networks as well to make sure we get these resources just pushed out to the community. So my wife has contacts that hopefully we'll link up with and say, hey, make sure we're pushing this, like not just in September, but making this just a regular part of the conversation.
Right.
You know, so if you also know of any veterans with a great story, or anybody that supports the veteran community with a great story of their support to the veteran community, reach out to me. Let me know. Like, I want to have you on the show. I want you to share your knowledge with the community. Who's that? Oh, Mike.
That guy.
Mike, man, you guys are telling me you have some good stories. So reach out to me, man. We'll have you. We'll talk to
Yeah,
you.
we'll talk offline. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, get that YouTube started so you can get memberships, and once you hit a certain amount of subscribers, then you can offer like subscription services and build on
Yeah.
that. Definitely.
Yeah. So we're looking at launching the YouTube in January.
Yeah. Good.
Cool.
Oh. My little notification said it's ending in 5 minutes.
Danny, thank you so much for coming
Yes.
on here. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I think our community really appreciates what you're doing, and I think you've gained some subscribers. So
Yeah, thank you, Scott, Jason, Mike. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and having me on. Eventually, you might see some stubble.
there we go. Reach out to we'll guide you. We'll guide you through. We'll let you know what to get.
I love
Yep.
it. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks. It'll be exciting to see where you're taking this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're stoked. I'm sorry, True North.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Those are those moments that we think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, let's get into the promotion. We can let Danny go so he doesn't get charged overtime
Yeah.
for his booth rental.
Yeah, you should just be able to click to leave the stream and
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you,
but
Jess.
have a good night. Thanks for being on the
Yeah.
Bearded Respect.
All right. Aloha.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Hey, Daniel.
DTB. It was a great interview with Danny. Make sure you try to listen to the replay. A lot of good stuff talked about. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Hashtag educated.
So sponsor of the show is Educated Beards. And
Oh, crap. I forgot to run the video.
I know. You
Here. I even fixed it this week.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, why I always do that.
I think you left it off the intro,
Left what off?
the sponsorship.
Oh, I thought I had it on there.
Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But yeah, Educated Beards is our
Yeah.
sponsor. Premium organic oil and butter will be shipped to the winner of this giveaway, as it is weekly.
Yeah.
I talked to Russ today. He got his resupply already.
Mm. Okay. Bam.
What's a BAM? Oh, I figured it out.
Oh. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that. So yeah, but with this educated stuff, we got, well, even a couple weeks ago, a couple shows ago, we had Savvy Jack on, and I got some mustache wax. So I've been playing with it instead of trying to trim it. I've been trying to style it,
Nice.
and you can tell I got a little part going, and
Yeah.
trying to let it. It still needs to grow longer though, so those short hairs can get going too. But it's coming. It's coming. But yeah, I tried the Savvy Jack, and then just tonight, for the first time, I tried the educated mustache wax.
The balsam fir.
Yeah.
Balsam fir mustache wax. So I find that I often have to when I use that wax, I'll kind of just rub it between my fingers over a heated brush to kind of help with it melting.
Okay.
And then spread it in, and then I'll use my tomahawk and brush it in and comb it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you use a heated brush, that helps with, just getting it loose and so you can mold it in. That balsam fir sticks really good.
Yeah, I've been, I had it pulled out and it looked weird, so I had to comb it back down in there a little bit. It just, I didn't want to go on camera with it yet. It just looked a little strange to me. So
it takes a lot. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of dedication to shape it.
Yeah,
that's why I don't.
Yeah, that was. I think that was for Beard Brothers. I think Beard Brothers is that what's their? I forget what their mustache wax what they call it, but Bob and Elliot. He had a video, on IG, and I was watching it, but. Like he said, he takes his finger and thumb and he gets both sides of it. I don't have that yet. I can't get behind, I'm like, so I can't do what he does. His
or you see where he's got the curlers in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, what a great man. I'm still like blown away by Danny's podcast. Seriously.
Yeah, it is.
Like I hope, at least some of you in the chat will give it a listen. It's really good. And it's 24 minutes. I mean,
yeah, they go by
the whole
quick.
intention is to take a walk, listen to the podcast, take a walk for that 24 minutes just to get you outside, get you in the fresh air,
So did everybody did everybody get in who wants to get in? Since I'm told to spin the wheel. We don't have a wheel. The other night on our walking past this bar we always walk past, and they had Wheel of Fortune on. I said, "Oh, we can watch Wheel of Fortune." Wondering if that's where that came from.
It's hard to believe that's still going on.
Yeah, he's talking about retiring though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck, guys.
Who's winning tonight?
Woo! Lucky the Beer. It must be the new name.
Yeah.
Change your name. Get the win. Well, Lucky, Miss Bruce City did make an appearance. I believe it's you can catch it on the 4th episode.
Yeah, congrats, Scott. You know what to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah, it looks like I've been writing all the winners down there just to see who doubles up and whatnot. But yeah, Scott was the big winner on our first giveaway, episode 29.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, you can try another scent.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
What did you get the first time, Scott? I don't remember. If you
The
told
first
me or
time I
not.
got peppermint cedarwood.
Not
Oh,
not you,
oh, him.
BBB.
I'm sorry, I
BBB
get
Scott.
confused.
I want to say he got Balsam Eclipse.
That's a good one.
I think. Oh, he gave it away.
Oh, you gave
Wow.
it to your brother-in-law.
Oh,
So
All
that
right.
was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there. I was blown away by the peppermint cedarwood. That was my favorite. And oh, you got okay. You
I was
got
right.
the Balsam Eclipse the first. But I got some bergamot grapefruit
Mm-hmm.
this time, and it was funny when we were out west with Michael. He gave us little samples, and I couldn't smell it. I couldn't smell it in the oil, but now I got oil, balm, and butter, and yeah, that's a nice scent as well. I really like it. It's not like it's bergamot and grapefruit, so it's not like getting hit with a face full of oranges. Can be too much sometimes, but the bergamot grape, that's a nice scent. I have it in tonight, as a matter of fact. So I'm digging that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll arrange something sometime, honey.
Yeah. And thank you, Russ. Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
and it's coming up. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I was amazed when I found his podcast, and then I reached out, and he's like,
Yeah. Scott
wanting to be on.
found this guy and got him on like immediately, which was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure if the time difference would be an issue or.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't know what he's doing during the day, because that's
Right.
daytime over there for him. At bedtime here for me.
One thing I miss about living in Hawaii was the NFL season, because there was this bar I would go to at 7 a.m. for all you can eat buffet and drink beer and watch football. And then the whole football day was over by 1 p.m. and you got the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Well, soon you could probably do that with a Packers game.
Oh yeah,
In England,
like a 9 a.m.
Oh, it's 8:30 my time.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it'll be 7:30.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. And that would be like 4 a.m. in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's one you probably wouldn't want to see in Hawaii.
I don't know, like those England games, I never enjoy them. Like to me, they never seem like good games. I don't know what it is. Like,
yeah,
it seems like they're off. Like both teams are off. They play horrible, and it's just like blah. I don't know. I don't know if anyone
I
else
think
feels
it's the
that way.
travel.
Yeah, like that's a huge travel. Like that's a huge distance to.
And then you got to play the next day. You're playing the game.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't sound like you're there long before the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's jet lag and I mean, they're
Yeah.
athletes, but they get jet lag too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, and this year they have like 5 games in England, I think, or 5 international. Maybe one's in Mexico and 4's in England, or one's in Germany.
Yeah, they're talking about one in Munich.
Yeah, one's in Mexico, one's in Germany, and 3 are in England, I think. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like, are they going to try to get to like having a weekly international game at some point? 17 international games. Like, man. I mean, I guess it's good for the other countries.
International league they used to have.
Oh, way back in the early 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they had their own league over there.
Yeah. That was internet, because they would have like, there was like an Alabama team, like Birmingham, and a Germany team.
Yeah.
You're talking about that one, right?
Yep.
I think it only lasted like 1 or 2 seasons, but
yeah, it was interesting though.
It was. But it didn't last.
No. None of those seemed to last. Yeah, but it was a great show, guys.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, watch for my post. We will be streaming from I'll at least be streaming from Operation Ruck 22 on Saturday. These guys said they would join me, but obviously they won't be there.
So you're going to be in
on
Madison?
location.
Yes, I will be in Madison.
Location.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm volunteering there that morning, and then after the walk is the auction.
After the walk, okay.
Yeah. And I figured I could save the president there some headaches, because she's normally running around with her phone trying to do it all on Facebook. So, and she's very busy that day, so I know she appreciates if I can relieve some of that stress off of her.
So, will we be streaming on multiple formats or just YouTube?
I believe we will also be streaming on Facebook, on their Facebook account.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Cool.
Miss Bruce City said maybe she will make an appearance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be good. It'd be a good time.
Oh yeah, it's normally an interesting day, and we'll be leaving here at like 6:37 because it kicks off at 9.
Takes a couple hours to get there.
Yeah, an hour and a half, about. But yeah, it'll be an interesting day. And if any of you want to make the virtual walk, you can always log on to OperationRuck22.com and check it out, or order any of their gear. They've got T-shirts and patches and military challenge coins and a few interesting items up for sale. And they will also have some Ben Shot glasses. It's not a shot glass. It's a company called Ben Shot. They have a tumbler with Ruck 22's logo on it, and then there's a metal slice of cheese inserted into the side of the glass. That's what Ben Shot is famous for. For putting like metal items in the sides of glasses.
Oh, I seen Lit Beard Co. got glasses now.
Yes. And he will be doing the Ruck 22 walk as well. So it should be an interesting day.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. It's been a great
Yeah,
night.
we appreciate
great show.
Yeah, we Yeah, we appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the great comments.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Absolutely.
and glad you guys are all enjoying our show. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
And hopefully, who knows, maybe someone in the future sees this and it helps them in some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, laced and based, and we'll definitely be thinking of your friend. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully you can make progress with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good night, everyone.
Night. See you
Good night.
next Thursday.